Hi everyone, welcome to Cookie Decorating with Mrs. Rogers Cookie Co. I'm Nikki and I'm so excited that you're here decorating with me today. This class is perfect for kids and adults, so whether this is your first time or you've decorated before, you are in the right place. I'll walk you through each cookie step by step, share a few helpful tips along the way, and remind you that cookie decorating doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. Just remember, there's no wrong way to decorate a cookie. Have fun with it, be creative, and most importantly, just enjoy the process. So let's get started. We are going to grab our boxes, our kit boxes. I'm going to have you open up your box, and hopefully you have already taken this out of the freezer about an hour before you were taking this class. In your box, you'll find your cookie kit directions for freezing and taking care of them before class, but we don't need those anymore. You're going to find your little cup with our 3 different skin tone Santa mustaches, our little cup of sprinkles with our eyes, Rudolph's nose, and our sanding sugar, our bag of icing, our cookies, our scribe, our class picture, our practice sheet, and some extra piping bags if you happen to need them. So I'm going to put this kit over to the side and just arrange my place a little bit. So right now, before we start, I want you to make sure that you have a pair of scissors and a paper towel. And if you have a spray bottle, you can dampen that paper towel. Otherwise, just dampen your paper towel and set it off to the side. We're going to use that to make sure that we keep our icing bag and our scribes clean. So go ahead and grab that if you don't have it already, and you can just pause this video. Okay, so I want you guys to have your practice sheet and your scribe available, but I want you to grab your cookies and go ahead and unbag them. And if you haven't noticed already, you'll notice that they are pre-drawn with our lines of our template, so that it makes it a little bit easier to follow along. But I also want you to know that you do not have to follow these. You can do your own thing, but if you want your cookies to look like mine, I want you to follow mine. You can always add some details at the end. We had some kids in our class yesterday that made little like lines on the elf's hat. Santa had some extra stuff going on, then polka dots in one of the elves' hats. So these are your cookies, and I truly want you to make them yours. So don't feel like you have to go exactly according to plan unless you want to. So after you have opened your cookies, just set those aside and then open your icing bag if you haven't done so already. I've already opened mine. I want to show you that you guys have a couple of extra bags of icing. So we have in class, these are the 5 colors that we had, and then we passed around an extra color skin complexions if anybody chose to use those. So you'll notice that you have the extra icing bags in yours. So when you are doing Santa, if you want to change the skin complexion of your Santa, you can choose truly between these 3 colors. So the elf is going to be this color either way, but you can change the elf if you have enough icing. But we planned for the elf to be this color, and then you can choose one of these 3 colors for Santa's face. Okay, so when we get to that point, I will remind you guys of that, but I just want to set those ones out of the way for the moment because those are going to be used at the very end. And then I want you to look at your bags of icing. So we had this issue last month with our brown also. I don't know what's going on with brown, but if your icing, if you see dark areas like this on your red, on your brown, that's okay. All that is the icing separating, and it's the water coming out of the icing. All you're going to do is mash your bag, massage that water back into your icing, and just be sure to hold the tape, because even though they're taped shut, they can still squeeze icing out of the top of your bag, which we don't want. We don't want icing all over our hands, at least not yet. Maybe at the end, then you can lick your hands a little bit. All right, so you're just going to massage those if you notice that on anything, and if you do notice that and you want to massage them really quickly, you could just pause the video and then come back after you have those ready. I am going to start with our red icing for our practice sheet. So I want you guys to grab your red icing, and I want you to look at your bag. So there's a seam on your bag, and you can kind of see it probably more, you can feel it probably more so than see it. But you always want that part of the bag facing up towards the ceiling. And the reason for this is because when we cut our bag, we want to cut it straight across that seam, and that helps create that cylindrical piping line that we get when we are piping our lines and our details on our cookies. Okay, so I want you just to flatten the tip of that bag out. You're going to grab your scissors and you are going to cut a small hole, and I want you to cut the hole. It almost looks like I didn't cut anything off of the tip of my bag of icing. Okay, it's very small. And then you can use your paper towel on the side and just squeeze a little bit out. And when I go to do my practice sheet, I want you to hold that bag of icing in your hand with that seam still up towards the ceiling. You're going to use your thumb and your forefinger to help keep that bag of icing closed. And you are just going to gently just wrap your fingers around your icing bag, okay? So you're going to gently give your bag pressure. I want you just to squeeze it till the icing starts to come out, and you're just going to tap it onto your paper. And then I'm gently going to squeeze, and I'm just going to move my arm slowly across the table over that line. My goal for this line is for it to be about the thickness of the line that I'm piping on. So it can be a little bit thicker, it can be a little bit thinner, but you kind of want it around this range for when we pipe our lines, our outlines on our cookies. Okay, so again, just hold this in the palm of your hand. You're going to give a little bit of pressure, tap down onto the paper, lift up while you're giving a little bit of pressure. And as I get towards the end of that line, or any line that I want to end, I'm just going to release my pressure and tap down. So when I'm doing this, I also like to hold on to my wrist. Let me go back out. I like to hold onto my wrist. It helps stabilize my wrist, or you will see me putting my fingers on my wrist like this. It does the same exact thing. It kind of just depends on whatever position I'm in working on the cookie. So remember, just easy pressure. I'm almost letting that icing fall out of the bag versus giving it a lot of pressure. And release your pressure and tap down. Now, if you are having trouble doing this and you're going along and maybe your lines are breaking, it could be one of two things. It could be that your hole is cut a little bit too small, or it could just be that you're not giving it enough pressure. So before you cut your hole any larger, I want you to just try and give it a little bit more pressure. But if it's still breaking, or if you are getting little like squiggly lines, that means you're giving too much pressure. So ease up on your pressure and see if that helps fix it. If it doesn't, then you can go ahead and cut your bag a little bit larger. But I want you to remember that it's easier to cut your bag larger than it is to have to rebag your icing. So if you happen to cut your bag a little bit too large and you're getting a line that's a lot thicker than this, I want you to go ahead and rebag your icing and try cutting your bag again, okay? So I'm going to show you on our squiggly lines. So for the squiggly lines, it's the same thing. You're going to tap down, you're going to lift up, and I'm just giving my wrist the slightest movement to help guide that icing over that line where I want it to go. And I'm always looking slightly ahead of where I want the icing to go, so I know where to move my icing. Again, when you get towards the end of your line, you're just going to release your pressure and tap down. So if you want to keep practicing on that one, go ahead and you can pause the video. I'm going to keep going onto our circle and our heart. So we don't have any circles on our cookies today, but I want to show you. They're not hard, but they are hard at the same time. They're just hard because you have to go slow. So you just want to tap down like we just did on the other two lines. Go slow around there, directing that icing where you want it to go. And I am really not giving it very much pressure at all. I'm letting gravity do its trick and just letting the icing almost fall out of the bag. When I get towards the end of my line, I release my pressure and tap down. Okay, so with our heart, I'm going to go a little bit closer on this one for you guys. So we have a couple of sharp edges that we are going to use on our cookies. And the way that we get sharp edges is by actually tapping down on our cookie. So I'm going to start in the center of the heart. I'm going to give a little bit of pressure, lift up, slowly come around that first curve of the heart. And when I get down towards the end, I'm going to release my pressure and tap down. And then I'll reconnect my line, icing to icing, and complete this second side. Release my pressure, tap down. So if I wanted a heart that had more of a curved shape at the bottom, I could just start in the middle, and then when I get down towards the bottom, I can kind of just hesitate a little bit and then come up and back around, and we get a little bit of a softer corner. But we are going for those sharp edges today. All right, so let's go. You're going to just fold this practice sheet in half, and you can throw it away or just set it to the side of your workspace. And I want you to grab your Santa and your elf. We are going to do two things right now at the beginning. We are going to outline the pom-poms on both of them, and then we're going to do four things technically, but the little fuzzy part of Santa's hat, and then we're going to outline his beard. And then as soon as we do that, we are going to go back and we are going to flood in the pom-poms on each of them and Santa's little hat right here, the fuzzy part, and we are going to use our sprinkles. So I want you to grab your little cup of sprinkles and just open it up, and I want you to pull out Rudolph's nose and just set it on the tray. Use your the lid of your cup as a tray, and then pull out these little eyes. We're going to get to those soon. We just want to have our sprinkles left in our cup because we are going to use these. So if you have another area next to you or an extra paper towel that you can set your cookies on while you do this, you can do that to help keep your mess at a minimum. You can even put it inside of your kit box while you do it so that your kit box catches all of those sprinkles. So I want you to grab your white icing. And I will always tell you what icing I am using because sometimes it doesn't translate on the camera. This is the white and this is the ivory. But if I take the white away, this almost looks like it's white. So I will let you know. So if you are unsure, just rewind the video a little bit and you can double check what color I am using. All right, so let's go ahead and flatten the tip of this bag out. And I'm going to cut that hole. And I'm going to test it on my paper towel. And it looks pretty good. So the first thing I'm going to do is do the little pom-poms on here. And they're circular, but they're not quite circular. But I feel like they really don't matter for this set anyways, because we aren't going to make them perfect circles anyways, because we are going to make them like a little fluffy pom-pom on the end of their hats. So when you do this, you're going to do the same like we did on our practice sheet. I'm just going to kind of follow that line. So it's like a oval kind of oblong shape. And then I'm going to do Santa. So I'm tapping down on my cookie. I'm lifting up. And I'm just going slow around that curve, letting the icing come out. And you'll notice that this icing is probably a little bit harder to squeeze. That's because this icing is a lot thicker than the rest of our icings, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so just tap down. You're going to tap down on your cookie. That's going to help get that icing to stay on your cookie. And I'm just giving slight pressure. I'm following this line all the way up to the edge of his hat, just like that. And then I'm going to pick up over here and come on down all the way to the end and back around up to that line and just follow the curve of the top of his hat. When I get down towards the end, I'm just releasing my pressure and tapping down. Okay. Now I want to cover this little area right here also because I don't want my icing to go off of the cookie. And we really shouldn't have that issue right now just because this icing is a little bit thicker, but I also want you to get in the habit of just doing it because if you have a thinner icing, it will definitely go off the edge of your cookie. So go ahead and just go in and just connect those two lines, just like that. Okay. One important thing that I forgot to share with you. So if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. Just grab your scribe and you can just use this end or you can use the sharp end and just scrape that icing right off. And then you can start over. And just wipe it on your paper towel. That's what our paper towel is for. Just get all of that off. And nobody is going to see this part. In fact, the only part on your cookies that will not have icing on top of it completely is the antlers on our reindeer, on Rudolph. Okay, so if you mess up, it's okay. You just scrape it off and start again. No biggie. Alrighty, so let me finish my line. And then I'm gonna cut my hole just a little bit larger. When you do that, you're just gonna smash the tip down again. I'm going to flood this in, and I'm not going for perfection here. I don't care if it's not smooth because I'm going for that fluffy pom-pom on his hat. Okay, the only thing I don't want are these little point that I had right here, so I can just jiggle that down into my icing. All right, and then I'm gonna do Santa. So I'm gonna turn him this way to make it a little bit easier. Same thing on his little pom-pom. Just moving it in little circular directions, and it's helping give me that texture of his pom-pom. And then I'm going to just fill in his hat. So this is probably, well, these 3 spots and his beard, when we get to his beard, are gonna be the only parts on your cookies where if it starts to dry out while you are flooding it in or filling it in, it's okay, because we want it to be rough looking. So if it does start to dry out before you get your sprinkles on his hat right here, just add a little bit more icing to it and rough it up a little bit more with your icing bag, making those little swirly motions, and it'll be totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna grab my napkin or my paper towel. I'm gonna set these 2 cookies on top of it, and I'm just going to sprinkle my sanding sugar on top of his little pom-pom just to cover it up. Just go back and forth. This is why I wanted you guys to put it in a tray or on a paper towel, because it's going to make a mess. We don't want messes. And plus, if you keep some of that, we can use it in Santa's beard afterwards. So if you do it on paper towel, we can actually put that back into our cups. All right, so now I want you to gently pick up your Santa, and I want you to just very carefully turn him over and give him a little tap to get off that extra icing off of him. Now you can use your scribe to gently brush this off, the extra. Just be gentle that you don't go into the outline or into your the area that you just flooded. So just be very careful. Okay, and then I'm just going to set him down over here off to the side because I want to get my napkin out of the way as soon as I'm done. I'm going to pick up my elf and do the same thing, just gentle tap, and then just use my scribe to gently move those extra sugar crystals away. Okay, and then I'm going to just fold this up out of the way. I'm going to fold mine up because I have some in my cup still, so I'm going to throw that away. So now that we have these 2 with our white on there, we are going to move on to outlining the bottom part of his beard. Okay, so I am going to just go along right here and make that outline on his beard. And don't worry if your outline is really thick like mine, that's okay. Remember, we're going for that fluffy beard. You would not want your bag to be this thick, this thickly cut on your other icings, because the icing is going to flow out very quickly on those ones. But because the white icing is so thick, we can make it work. Okay, just attaching that in there. Okay, so now we're just going to push Santa off out of the way, our elf, and we are going to bring our reindeer over. The first thing we're going to do on our reindeer, we are going to outline just around the head. So just around from here, up and around, down and back around. I'm going to grab my brown icing and I'm going to give that a good mash up just in case it's separated. Okay, and remember, I'm just gonna smash the tip of that icing with that seam up towards the ceiling. I'm cutting a small hole. I'm gonna test it out on my paper towel. Okay, and I am going to show you this. So I'm gonna start right here at the top of his head, the little arch in between his antlers. I'm just tapping down. Now you're gonna notice that this icing is a lot more thin of a consistency than what we just used. So you wanna make sure that your bag is not cut too large because the icing will flow out very quickly. I'm barely giving any pressure on this, and I'm just directing that icing around the edge of the cookie. Release your pressure and tap down. So I don't want you to worry about this little widow's peak area of our reindeer because we are not going to use that. We are going to flood our reindeer all the way through, and then we're going to put little dots on his forehead for the decoration. So the second thing we're going to do is we are going to outline the ears. I'm going to tap at the edge of my icing gently, just lift up. I'm going to tap down to get that sharp edge, reattach my line, and I'm just following the curve of what I think his ear should look like. So I'm just trying to mirror the bottom on the top. So the same thing that we did down here, you're just going to do on the top, just opposite. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Gently tap onto that icing, make your icing stick, tap down, reattach your line, come up and around. And then I'm going to make these little curved lines in his ear. So I just want them to touch right here in the corner. So if it's easier for you, you can even start in the corner. So just gently tap your icing right here and just follow that line. You were just splitting his ear in half because we're gonna flood that at 2 different times. So my line is a little off right here. That's okay. I know where I want my line to go. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna gently tap at the corner of his ear at that point and gently drag my line over the same way that we did on the other side. All right. So the last thing that we are gonna do to him right now, we are gonna actually create his antlers. So to do his antlers, you are just gonna gently attach your icing to his outline. You're gonna come almost all the way up to the tip of this first antler, tap down, and then bring that line straight back down, just like that. So it looks like 2 lines. And the reason that I did this is I really liked the texture that it leaves when it's dry. It doesn't completely meld into itself. It melds and it leaves a little bit of that texture still there. So it's a little bit different than just piping out a thicker line using a little bit more pressure. You can also do that if you want to do that as well. So for the edge over here, I'm just going to gently tap onto my icing, come up, tap down, and then you can just reattach and just bring that line. Oh, and if you get a little curly, I wasn't giving it enough pressure. Back down. Oh, what is happening? Let me try going from this side. Right here. Tap on there and bring my line up, just like that. And I will do the same over here. Come up, tap down, tap down. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. All the way up, tap down. There we go. So my icing lines are just really close together, but they'll still give us some texture. Okay, so we are okay with him for now. I'm gonna just gently move him over here, and we are gonna bring all 3 of our cookies down. So I wanna show you, normally we would do this at the end, but I wanna show you a way of doing it while we're starting off, so that to show you that you can put your eyes on beforehand if you are using transfers like we're using today. So I want you to grab your little transfers, and if you notice on them, there are 2 dots. That big dot, you want to be down towards the bottoms of their faces, and that little white dot, you want to be up towards the top of their head. And when it's straight up and down like this, then when you put it on your cookie, I just want you to turn it slightly, just like this. So the first thing I'm gonna do before I do that, I'm just gonna grab my white icing, and I'm just gonna put a little dab of icing on each one of these cookies in the center of the outlines of their eyes. Just a little bit, because when we actually flood around them, that's gonna be the main thing that helps keep them in place. So I'm just gonna set that on top, and then I can just use my fingers to just gently turn it into place. So those are just the little like reflective marks in the eye. Just gentle, making sure I don't bump my outline. Oops, or lose an eyeball. Like I almost just did. It almost went off my desk. Okay, and then we'll get Rudolph. And then I want you to set the lid of your little cup back off to the side. And we will use Rudolph's nose when we are flooding Rudolph's face. Oops. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to set this off to the side. Now, we are going to go back over to our elf. So I'm just going to gently push this out of the way. You can use your scribe. That's super helpful, especially once we get outlines on all of our cookies. I'm going to go back to our elf, like I said, and I'm going to grab my green icing. So with your green icing, I want you to, mine separated quite a bit because I had it out for a little bit. I'll grab another scribe. I'm just going to mash that back in. If you need to mash yours, remember just to kind of keep that icing bag squeezed closed and just give it a good little massage to help get that water back into the icing. Okay, so I'm just gonna seam of my bag up towards the ceiling, flatten the tip of my bag, and then I'm going to cut a small hole, a little bit out on my paper towel. So I'm just gonna follow the lines of the peaks of his hat, and then when I get over here, I'm gonna go all the way out to the edge of my cookie and then come back down around to meet that line right here, and then I'll go all the way across. So I'm just going to tap down, lift up, tap down to get those sharp corners, tap down, tap down. You get it. You've got this. If at any time you feel like your icing is coming out and you can't control it, just tap your icing bag down. So tap it again to reattach. But if I'm going along and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't make this turn, just tap down. And then you can pick right up where you were. Go to the edge, tap down, come back around. I'm going to tap down. And then I will connect this line all the way across his head. There we go. Alrighty, so let's push him back over here and grab our reindeer again. I take that back. Let's go back here. Let's do this really quickly so that we can cut our icing bag a little bit bigger. So grab your brown again. Make sure the tip of your bag is clean. You can just smash it between your paper towel. I'm going to draw in the outline for his hair. So I'm going to come down at the corner right here, just gently tap on that icing right there. Tap, come around, tap down, just like we did on his hat. And it's okay to go slow. I'm going to connect up here. And this is where we are going to create that little part in his hair by having that extra line there. Tap down. Now we can push him out of the way and bring our reindeer back in. So I'm going to cut my bag just a little bit larger. And we are going to do two things right now. We are going to we are going to flood in the top parts of his ears, and then we are going to flood in his face. I want you to watch before you do yours, because I'm going to show you the easiest way. I think I did not start off doing my icing like this, but I feel like it's so much easier, especially when you're working in bigger areas of a cookie, because when you are working on those larger areas in a cookie, sometimes by the time you get back around, if I go all the way around and then come like in slowly, sometimes when you get to that edge where you first started, it's already started to crust over and it's hard to get your icing to flood in perfectly smooth. So I like to go back and forth kind of along the longest edge of the cookie, or whatever I think is going to be quickest. I'm going to start first at the ears. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure. And when we were doing our outlines, we were tapping down the cookie and lifting up and away. We're not going to do that with our flood. With our flood, we want our icing bag to be in our icing. We want it to be touching, if not almost touching, that cookie. And when I am squeezing my bag, I am wiggling and jiggling my icing as I'm squeezing and moving it around. Okay? And then I can use my scribe to help smooth it out or bring it to the edge where I need it. And don't be afraid to turn your cookies either. If it makes more sense for you to flood this upside down like this, if it's a little bit more comfortable, then I want you to do that. So again, just gentle pressure, because this is a small area. Wiggle and jiggle that icing, and I'm pulling the icing along as I go. And then I'll use my scribe to bring it all the way to that little edge right there. And I'm just jiggling the icing very softly on the surface to get it to settle the rest of the way. So I'm going to turn him around now. And when I do his head, I'm going to start right around here, and I'm going to go all the way across to here, about halfway across, and then I'm just going to keep going back and forth. And when I get to his eyes, I want to make sure that I don't flood super close to his eyes. I want to flood a little bit around them, and then I'm going to pull my icing towards that, because I don't want his eyes to disappear. So when you are flooding, I want you to make sure that you're giving enough icing to your cookie. You got to give it a lot of icing love. You do not want to see your cookie from like the top of your icing. Your icing should be covering your entire cookie. So do you see how I'm flooding kind of away from his eye? And then I'm going to release my pressure on the bag, and I'm just using my icing bag without any pressure to just bump that icing right up against his eye so that it's just sunk in and not, it doesn't like drown in icing right here. We don't want it to disappear. You can even use your scribe like me. But you also want to work fast, because your icing will still start to crust up if you are too slow. So just push that icing up against it. Come around. And when you're doing this, I just got a little bit on my eye, but that's okay. I'm just going to leave it out for Santa, and Santa's not going to mind a little bit of extra icing. When you are working on your cookies, remember that you don't want to see your cookie through your icing. And when you go to jiggle your cookie out, if you still have a lot of rough areas on your cookie, and if you're jiggling it and your icing is still not smoothing out, that means that you still have not put enough icing. So even though you can't see your cookie beneath the icing, if it's not jiggling out when you give him a short little jiggle and wiggle, that means there's not enough icing. So at this point, it's too late for this cookie if you've already flooded it. But if it happens on your elf or on these little areas right here, just give it a little bit more icing. Sometimes it's scary to do that little bit, but I promise you, it will be worth it. And if you happen to give it a little bit too much love and it goes over the edge, you could just use your scribe. You just grab your scribe and just scrape it like that. But you want to do it while it's still really fresh and wet, so that it doesn't leave any marks. So I want you guys to grab your little Rudolph nose, And you are just gonna hover over the cookie where you want it and just let it gently fall. And because our icing is still super wet, I don't need to do anything else to him. He's got a little piece of sugar in here. It's gonna sink in on its own and adhere and dry on the cookie, so you'll be good. All right, so go ahead and just gently push him out of the way. You're gonna bring your elf and your Santa back in, but I'm gonna turn them upside down. And if you are not done with your reindeer, it's okay to pause the video and just pick up when you're ready. So we're grabbing our elf and our Santa and we are just turning them kind of upside down. I'm gonna grab my red icing again and we are gonna outline the elf's hat and then these two separate areas on Santa, on his hat. So I'm gonna clean the edge of my icing bag and I'll come to Santa first. I'm just going to gently tap on the edge of his hat where the other icing is. Come around here. And I'm gonna tap down right at the edge, right there. And then I will pick up over here. Same thing, I'm just going right along the edge and tapping down. I can move him out of the way. And then I'll do the elf. Same thing. I'm just gonna follow the outline of the cookie. Did you see that I just kind of hovered over that corner? It's not really a corner, it's kind of rounded. But if you want a sharper edge right there, you can just tap down and keep going. All right, so now we get to outline our elf's face. And then we are completely done with our outlining and we get to start flooding our cookies. The best part of class. Actually, I think the best part of class is probably Santa because we get to rough up his beard. So my skin tone or ivory icing, this is the ivory, not the white, has separated a little bit. So I'm just gonna massage that back in. And get that ready to go. I'm going to cut the tip the same way we did with all the others for outlining. Just smash that tip to the top and then cut a small hole. So I'm going to outline the bottom of the elf's face and this little section for his ear. So I'll do the little section for his ear first. I'm just going to, whoop, and I should have tested that on my paper towel first. Let me squeeze that out. Okay. So I'm going to bring this down and around and then connect his ear. And then over here, the same thing, just down and around. So you should not have any free edges when you are done outlining your cookies. And by free edges, I mean anywhere that we have on the outer edge of your cookie that icing can spill over. So all of our lines are connected. We are good to go on all of them. If you are unsure if all of your lines are connected, pause the video right here and just double check the outlines on your cookies. And then we'll move on from there. Let's get started on the best part of class. So you're gonna gently just push your reindeer out of the way, gently push your elf out of the way, use your scribe if you need to. Push them over there. I'm gonna bring Santa back over here and we are gonna do his beard. So gently, not gently, I guess, just clean off your icing bag, the tip of your icing bag. So when I do his beard, I'm gonna flood it the same way we did his hat and his little pom-pom, and the same with the elf. I'm gonna start up here. I'm just gonna fill this little area, but I'm gonna be gentle because it is a smaller area. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just getting this icing in here. There's no rhyme or reason to, oh, and I have an air bubble. No rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I am just pushing this icing in. You do want to push it kind of up on the outline that we made, but if you are inside of it a little bit, that's okay as well. And you'll see why when we get to the point of making his beard look like a beard. So just keep going around this, going in little circles, just pushing that icing around. fluffy beard. And these are the only 2 cookies we're using white on. Just gently push that up into this area right here. You can also use your scribe. We don't want to smooth this out. I'm just using my scribe to kind of pull it over and straighten it out just a little bit. You can also use it to pull it a little bit onto your outline. This is the only part on our cookie that if it does start to crinkle and crackle as it's drying while you're going over and pulling this on the outline, it's not going to matter, I promise. And again, you'll see why when we go to the end of our video. This will be one of our last steps that we do to finish Santa up. So it's okay that he's not smoothing back out. He's going to be okay. I'm not even going to shake him. We're just going to leave him. Let's go back to our elf, and we're going to flood in this little green part of his hat. When I'm flooding, sometimes I like to flood the smoother edges first, and sometimes I like to do the like crevices or just the smaller areas first. So I'm going to show you how to do the smaller areas first. So I'm going to grab my green icing, and I'm going to cut that hole just a little bit larger. I'm not going to go too much because it's still a looser icing, and I don't want to lose control, of that. I'm going to go just like this. I'm going to start at this corner right here. I'm going to move Santa out of the way so I don't bump him. I'm going to start up here at the top, and again, my icing bag is almost touching my cookie. I'm using that icing bag to push that icing up onto that outline, and I'm just giving enough pressure to fill that area. I'm going to come across here, push it up into that area, come back down here, just going back and forth all the way across his hat. If you guys are working on your kits right now, I know some of you have been in class before, and some of you have only bought kits before. Class is so much fun. The kids yesterday, the amazing ideas that they had for their cookies, you guys always blow me away, but the things that you were doing to Santa and the reindeer and also the elf, the little designs that you guys were putting on the hats, and we had a pirate Santa yesterday. We just had some really cool designs. We had some kids that did different designs as far as like colors on their reindeer. You guys get to make stuff your own. So if you want to do a different color and you have that color available, go for it. So now I'm going to push him out of the way. And if you need to pause, you can definitely do that. I'm going to bring my reindeer back down, and I'm going to flood in those 2 bottom sections of his ears. I'm going to clean my icing bag off again. And I'm just going to gently zoom up on this for you. When I have these little small areas right here, I like to just push my icing in there. So I was kind of sharing that with you before. So I'm just going to squeeze my icing onto the cookie, more than I think I need right here, and then I'm going to push it with my bag over into that area, and then I can finish flooding over here. The same thing, I'm going to get right here, and I'm just going to push that icing. And if I'm afraid it's going to get onto my cookie, I'm going to come back in with a clean scribe, and I can just pull it and kind of push it in where I need it with my scribe. Easy peasy. Okay, you can also give it a little jiggle. When you are jiggling your cookies like this and you're running out of places to poke it, to give it that jiggle, just make sure that you're not poking it in an area that we already have flooded, because if you do that, you're going to leave a mark in there that's not going to flood back together. It's going to stay open, and we don't want that. So you always want to flood. If you have to poke your cookie and you don't have any other areas to poke, you always want to poke in the area that you just flooded the freshest. So if I was to do it right now, I'd poke it right here and jiggle it. So remember that when we get to our elf, if you have to jiggle him. But I will show you that and how to smooth out your hole if you do have to poke him and jiggle him. So again, I'm going to little bit of pressure right here, more icing than I need right here, and then just gently push it over here with my icing bag. And then I'll give it some more over here. Same thing, a little bit more icing than I need. And then I'll just use my scribe to pull it over there. Push it into that, and then give it a little jiggle. Just like that. And then we are gonna do one more thing, and your first official cookie will be done. Whoop, whoop. Go ahead and grab your ivory icing. And I want you guys to maybe practice this on your paper first. But all I'm going to do, I'm not gonna go into my icing, because if I do that, just like with our scribe, it's gonna leave a hole, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to squeeze my icing just a little bit and let that icing start to come out and touch my cookie. And then right on top of that, I'm just gonna give more pressure and squeeze. And it's going to create a little ball, just like that for me. And then I'm gonna do that down the center of his forehead to create that little V and the little dots of icing that are going to create that little pattern on his fur. Let's get back onto this guy. So remember, we're not pushing into our icing, we are letting the icing fall right on top. So if you need some direction, just look at your little paper. So there's that big dot right in the middle, and then I'm gonna do two here, and then there's one in the center. So it's just a V and then a big dot in the middle. So I'm gonna start with that big dot. Again, I'm letting that icing just come out of my bag. I'm giving gentle pressure. I'm not pushing into my cookie. I'm just jiggling that icing a little bit to get it to smooth out for me. And then I will come over here and make one dot, two dots, three dots, and then go up the other side. Just like that. So now our little reindeer is ready to go. He's ready to pull a sleigh and bring presents to everybody. I'm gonna push him out of the way. Bring your elf back down. And Santa. So I'm gonna turn them upside down again, and we are gonna flood those red sections of their hats. Let's push them over here so you can still see them. So on my red, I'm not gonna cut my bag any larger, but if you need to cut your bag a little bit larger, you definitely can. The red icing is a little bit looser, so you could probably flood these areas without even cutting it any larger. Maybe try on this section or this section of Santa's hat, and if you don't need to cut your bag any larger, you're probably good for these two sections. This one I may cut it a little bit larger depending on how hard it is for me to flood this. So I'm gonna start right here up next to Santa's hat, and I'm just pushing that icing right up against the little pom-pom. I'm staying really close to my cookie with my icing bag, and I am wiggling and jiggling, and I am not letting any of that cookie see me through the icing. It's going down for good. It's hiding out in Santa's hat. Okay, just make sure you're wiggling and jiggling and that you're giving it enough icing so that when you are wiggling and jiggling it, that it is smoothing out. Just like that, and let me give him a little turn. And then again, I'm gonna do like I did on the reindeer. I'm gonna give it a little squeeze of icing right here, more than I need right here, and then I'm just gonna use that piping bag to push that icing over, or your scribe, whatever's easier. And then I'm gonna continue flooding back and forth, just wiggling and jiggling that icing bag in there, pushing that icing again down into that little corner edge. And then I can use my scribe to just jiggle that. And if you have any air bubbles, you can just pop them with your scribe and just jiggle the surface of the icing very, very gently, and that icing should smooth right back out. There's Santa. So now let's do our elf. I'm gonna go again, like without trying to cut my bag any larger. So I'm just gonna push that icing up right here up against that pom-pom. I'm going to be very, very careful around the edge of the hat, the green area, because even though this icing has all started to crust over, it's still really wet underneath. So if you bump it, it's going to crack it and make a mark in it, and we do not want that. You can always let your cookies dry for 15 or 20 minutes between steps. They're still going to be really wet underneath, but it will give you a little bit more leeway with you know, kind of touching them and not being able to break into the icing so easily. Just wiggling and jiggling all the way over his hat. Just keep going all the way across until it's filled in. There we go. So I didn't have to cut my bag any larger, but if you are struggling with squeezing that icing bag, please cut it just a little bit larger. And if your icing happens to go over the edge, remember, just use your scribe and just scrape it off. And don't touch your icing like I did, but that's okay. I'm just going to jiggle it back in. And I can give him a little bit of a jiggle too. You just don't want to jiggle so hard that your icing goes off the edge of the cookie. Don't ask me how I know that that happens, because it does. So just gentle jiggles. Now we're going to go on to flooding our elf's face. So if you still need a little bit of time to catch up, go ahead and pause the video and then come back in when you are ready to go. I am going to grab my ivory icing again and flatten the tip of that icing bag out. And before I cut it any larger, I'm just going to do this little small area of his ear first. Just jiggle this in, just like that. I'm going to pull the icing a little bit out onto that outline to give his ear a little bit more shape. Alright, and then I'm going to flood around his eyes, and I'm going to start at the top of his hairline, just like we did with the reindeer. And remember, I'm going to be very careful with his eyes. Let's zoom in for you on this one. Really careful with his eyes to make sure that I don't flood over his eyes. So I'm going to start right up here in this little crease or like area where his part is. I'm just going to go back and forth, jiggling that icing up and down, little circles. When I get near his eye, I'm just pushing that icing right up against his eye. And then I'm going to come over here and go across again. Slowly right here. Back over. Down, a little bit around. So now I have to go all the way around his eye right here. I know it's hard for you guys to see that. Let me turn him. Just pushing that icing there. Just a little bit around. You can even go all the way around if you come around. Okay, so just wiggle and jiggle your icing bag in your icing. Remember, my icing bag is touching, if not very close to my cookie. Pushing that icing around as I'm going. So the more wiggling and jiggling you can do to help your icing smooth out while you are flooding will make it that much easier when you get to the final part, when you finish flooding that area and you need to jiggle it out. So if you notice on mine, there's not a whole lot of area that I have to jiggle out because most of it is getting done right now while I am flooding my cookie. And that's a good thing because we know that royal icing crusts up pretty quickly. So again, the more you can get done before it starts to crust up, the better it is for your icing and your cookie. It's still going to taste good, but we want to work quickly. So you just give them a little jiggle. Zoom back out. And then I'm going to go over to Santa. But before we do Santa's face, we are gonna rough up his beard a little bit. So this is the fun part. So I want you guys to grab your scribes, and we are gonna do everything on Santa that I just told you not to do on your other cookies. I want you to poke him. Okay, so you're just gonna poke him, and you are gonna make little divots. So just keep gently poking into his beard, and you'll see on your end that it almost creates like little shards of icing, and that's what we want. So if you are not getting that yet, if your icing is kind of settling back into itself, just pause the video and let your icing dry just a little bit longer. When you are going around, you want to be a little careful on the outline, because I don't want to go all the way into his outline. I just want to go into the area that we flooded. So I'm just gently tapping into this. And I have found during our classes yesterday that no two beards looked alike. Everybody did their beard differently, just in the way that they poked it. So right now I'm kind of poking mine to the side. We had some people poking it like this. They were literally all look different. So I think it's pretty cool that no two Santa's beards look the same. It's pretty cool. But I wanted to show you guys this technique because I really like this technique. It's a really fun one to use on whipped cream. You could do it on ice cream to create that little, like the scooped look, the rough look that you get when it comes out of a scoop. It's a really fun way to give your cookies texture without any extra tools except for your scribe. And if you have any sanding sugar left at this point, not right at this point, but as soon as we are done roughing up his beard, you can add that. Just sprinkle a little bit on, and it'll adhere to the icing that's underneath that's still wet. So now I'm going to go back in, and I'm just going to swirl his beard just a little bit to kind of move those little dry icing pieces around to give his beard just a little bit more texture. Again, I'm not trying to smooth this out at all. We want to make him rough. We want to make it fluffy and ready to go. Like that. Looks pretty cool. So I'm going to grab some of my sanding sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle it. You could use your fingers and pinch if you don't want to get it everywhere. I'm going to be really careful and just do it like this. Sprinkle. And it's just going to give his beard a little bit of a glistening. And then this is one of my finished ones from before. So this is what his beard looks like. It's fun. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with him. Let me see if I can make it a little bit darker so that you can see him a little bit better. So he's got that texture to his beard. It's pretty cool. So that's what yours will look like when it dries, if it makes it that far. All right, so let's go back to our elf. Gently bring him back over, and let's flood in his hair. I'm going to clean the tip of my icing bag off. I'm going to start with this little side area, and when I flood this in, I'm not going to go all the way up against that part line and go on top of it like we did with the rest of our outlines. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to keep that little area of his hair separate. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this, but one of the other ways is by just letting this crust up for 10 minutes or so, and then coming back in and flooding right alongside over here, and this will have crusted up enough to where your icing won't just blend into each other. It's very similar to what we did with our reindeer cookie and his ears. I'm going to bump him upside down, and then I'm going to flood this side, just gently pushing that icing in there. I want to be really careful again, because every surface that I'm touching this brown against is still very, very wet, and I don't want to disturb it or make any dents in it. I'm just wiggling and jiggling that icing around the Same we did on all the rest. So when I get close to this part right here, this time I'm going to use my scribe. And I'm just going to pull that icing down a little bit, just till it meets and grabs onto that line, that piping line that we did. If you're okay with him not having a part, you can just flood that all the way across and not worry about it. But I wanted to show you guys a few different ways of doing things. So now if I have to poke him, I have nowhere else to poke him except for in his hair where we just flooded. So if I need to give him a jiggle, I'm just going to gently poke and gently jiggle. Take my scribe out. I'm going to clean my scribe off on my damp paper towel. Come back over and just jiggle the surface of that icing to fill that hole back in. And he's perfect. He's good as new. All right, there's our second cookie that we have officially finished. Woohoo! Gently push him out of the way. They can peep at us while we do Santa. So now Santa, we are gonna grab whatever skin complexion you want to use. So if you want to do the ivory, if you want to do the ivory, if you want to do the darker skin or the darkest one, pick whichever one you're going to use. And then I want you to give your icing a good massage, because these have been just sitting over on the side, especially this brown. You can see that it started to separate already. Go ahead and give that a nice massage. I'm going to go with the medium skin tone and give a little massage. And I also want you to grab whichever mustache you're going to use that matches your skin complexion. And we actually my husband had a great idea this morning, which would have been great if he thought of it beforehand, because I made lots and lots and lots of mustaches, and especially for you guys, for your kits, because I wanted you guys to all to have a choice of which skin tone or skin complexion you wanted to use for Santa. But his idea was that in one of the Santa stories is that Santa has a rosy red nose. And we actually had one of the little girls yesterday that had done her Santa in the lighter skin complexion for his face, but then she used the medium for his nose, and it actually looked like he had like a rosy red nose, which was really cute. So you guys can mix and match. You can do whatever you want to do on these cookies. They're yours, and you're gonna get to eat them unless you're saving them for Santa. If you're saving them for Santa, I will tell you how to do that at the very end. So I'm gonna do my medium complexion, so I could just grab these guys and put them off to the side. You could even give your elf, well, I don't know, that makes him kind of look like a little puppy. But you could give your elf a little mustache. We also had a little boy in the class yesterday that said that you could use this as a bow on our reindeer, which would be really cute. So you can do lots of different things with your transfers. So with my skin toned icing, this time when I cut it, I'm going to cut it a little bit larger right off the bat, because we don't need to outline anything. We're just going to fill this in. So I'm just going to smash the tip of that icing. I'm going to cut that hole just a little bit bigger. Remember, don't go too big, because you don't want to lose control of your icing. You don't want too much to flow in here and make it hard for you to handle. I'm going to start with him upside down this way. But do what works for you. I'm going to start right over here, and I'm just going to squeeze that icing in there, pushing it up onto the edge of that outline, wiggling and jiggling, just like we did with all of our other cookies and areas that we flooded. Jiggle that around. Jiggle, jiggle. Again, when you get near your eyes, just give a gentle squeeze around it, and then push that icing up to the eye. So the other thing that you can do, if you wanted to, in another class when we do eyes, if we don't put them on right away, or if we do put them on right away, you could do either one of these steps for the most part. Sometimes we have to follow the steps just because of how we have to put the faces on. But in general, you could wait until we finished flooding these cookies and then just put the eyes on. But sometimes it's hard, especially when your eyes, if you're using royal icing transfers like we did today, if they have those little glare, the little reflection dots on the eyes, it's hard to get them right where you want them when you guys are just hovering over your cookie and getting them kind of where you want them, and then they just fall and they are where they are. So it's a little bit easier to do that. Okay, so you just give it a little jiggle if you need to. Just like we did on our elf, I'm going to give him a little jiggle to help smooth him out. And then just clean that and just give it a little jiggle to wiggle that out. And then I'm going to grab my mustache and I'm going to hover over where I want him to go. So I want you guys to look at our finished Santa. So our finished Santa has his mustache is up a little bit because we want to be able to see this little area that's his mouth. So you're gonna just hover kind of over where you want this to be and then just gently let it go. And because our icing is so wet, it's gonna fall right in. You're not gonna do anything. If you need a little bit more room for your mouth, you can just gently push that up because it's starting to crest over. So maybe don't do that unless you're really quick. That's okay. He's still wet enough to where I can jiggle this area right here and get it down. There we go. So after you've done that, you have finished your Christmas set. So if you guys want to save these for Santa, I want you guys to leave them. You can just put them back in your box, but leave your box open. You can even tear the lid off or put these on a cookie sheet. You just want to put them on a plate or something somewhere out of the way so your dog doesn't get them, your little sister or your little brother or your dad. You don't want anybody to get them right now if you're saving them for Santa. So you're just going to leave them uncovered. Mom and Dad can help you with this. You're going to leave them uncovered until tomorrow at about this same exact time. And then you are going to put them in a Ziploc baggie or a container, like a Rubbermaid container, a Tupperware container, and put them in the freezer. Once they're in the freezer, you're not going to touch them. You're not going to open the container to check on your cookies if you're leaving them for Santa. You get to check on them on Christmas Eve when you take them out. So on Christmas Eve in the morning, you are going to take your cookies out of the freezer and you are going to put them somewhere where nobody is going to open them. You can even put a giant post-it on top that says, "Do not open until Christmas Eve when we put cookies out. Don't let anybody open your container." So once your cookies come all the way to room temperature, you can open them up and your cookies will be just like they were when you decorated them, right? So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can leave a comment on the video and I will do my best to get back to you guys right away. I hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas. And if you didn't or couldn't make it to our in-person class this month, I hope that you can join us next month. We are working on a winter-themed set, possibly with some hot cocoa with little marshmallows on top of it. So be on the lookout for that. And I will see you guys next year. Have a great holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate. And I hope you have an amazing time with your family and an amazing and safe New Year.